Hello everyone, Killer Shrew Fan here, and today we will be doing an unboxing and review for you. What's it gonna be? Well, we're gonna find out here in a second. This just came all the way from China, and I have been waiting for this for a long time now. So, without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and grab my trusty dusty scissors here and open it up for you. Alright, the big reveal, here we go. There it is. Let's get this bubble wrap off. Lots of padding to keep it safe. That's nice. Nice to see. Box is still a little bit warped, but that's no big deal. So yes, this is the PNSO Synops named Duke. Now, as I'm sure as many of you are aware, PNSO has been pumping out dinosaurs so fast recently. I mean, I can't even keep up with everything that they've been giving us. But for whatever reason, this one was an instant appeal to me. It seemed like a low enough price, so I decided, what the heck, let's try to order this one and see what PNSO has been up to in the past few months. So this is kind of like a trial run for me before I pull the trigger on a larger and understandably more expensive piece. So taking a look at the packaging here, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and take off this clear coat wrapping before we do that so that the glare doesn't ruin it too much. There it is. So there is the box and the image of the figure itself, and I gotta say, it looks absolutely fantastic. Sorry, I just adjusted my mic. I'm not sure if you heard that. So yes, this is Duke the Synops, and here you can see sort of a trace outline of the figure. Every life deserves your respect from PNSO. Bunch of different languages. Same kind of information on the side. Oh, here it is. Broadening children's visions for families that believe in dreams, from PNSO's Scientific Art Projection Plan, Stories of the Earth, 2010 to 2070. God, if they're making dinosaurs in 2070, oh my god, I'm gonna be so broke. But yeah, that's really all there is to the packaging. I do absolutely love the image of the Synops itself. Let's go ahead and see if we can pull this open without damaging it too much. Okay, so our Synops, as you can see, is contained in a very nice, clear packaging tray. And then you've got this nice instruction booklet, again, with lovely images of the dinosaur itself. More information on PNSOs. Duke the Synops, thanks humans for bringing me back. Oh, that's so cute. And then, of course, it's in multiple languages. I'm not going to read that, but I did want to read the nice little Duke note there. So yes, there is our Spinops. Oh my god, I'm the worst right now. Just look at the dinosaur. Look at the dinosaur. Don't listen to me. Look at the dinosaur. It's a Spinops. Yay, Duke the Spinops. Yes, if you couldn't tell, this is a new species to me, but there is our dinosaur finally free of his plastic prison. And I gotta say, wow, this thing is really hefty. It's not huge, but it's got heft to it. This is a solid figure, and I can't wait to give you guys a closer look. So without further ado, let's do this. So starting off at the head here, as you can see, there are so many lovely age lines and wrinkles carved into the face of Duke here. It looks so incredibly gorgeous and really gives this thing a great sense of character. The eye, as you can see, is done in a nice orange color with a black pupil and a nice gloss applied to it to give it some shine. Unfortunately, there's no like rim to it. It's kind of just sitting on top of the sculpture, so it doesn't really feel all that well seated. But beyond that, the only other complaint I have looking at the head is that the lower mandible and the upper jaw kind of bleed together. There's not a lot of shading going on in that region to really separate them and make it feel like they're their own thing and not make them feel like a piece of plastic, you know? That's my one complaint. The horns, as you can see, have been softened, I assume for play safety reasons, and that's great for any parents who are watching this video. So if you're curious to know if this is probably a safe toy for kids, I think it certainly is. Taking a look at it from the front, it looks so incredibly intimidating with its head lowered, its defenses raised, showing you all of the points of its dangerous skull. This is an intimidating figure from the front, but then from the side you can see all of the life and character in that face that is brought about as a result of those lovely age lines, wrinkles, and folds of skin. Now, if we move down the length of the body here, as you can see, there are some lovely wrinkles and folds of skin as the creature turns its head to the left and bunches up the skin as the shoulder blade pushes it up towards the neck. An incredibly powerful looking shoulder. The midsection has some lovely bags of skin folding up as the thigh presses it forward as the thigh goes forward, and then of course the wrinkles sag down around the swell of the gut as well. You've also got this lovely subtle scale texturation with larger sort of osteoderms coming up across and dotting the side of Duke here. And then past the thigh you can see all the lovely wrinkles and folds of skin as the tail swishes off to the left of the figure. Going back up the opposite side, it's really the same story in terms of the texturing with the subtle scales and osteoderms, but the musculature in that thigh looks so incredibly gorgeous, and I am really in love with all of the bunching up of the skin around the gut and the legs. It looks so incredibly natural. You've got this beautiful vein stretching away from the shoulder, the right arm there, and if we turn him slightly there, you can see the head on the opposite side of the figure once again. Taking a look at the feet, as you can see, they have got the appropriate number of toes for a ceratopsian, and those two little side toes are included. There's also lovely wrinkles, folds of skin, musculature, all of that has been addressed here, and it just looks so incredibly powerful if we move up the length of the legs and arms to see all of the muscle that has been sculpted into this thing. They did a great job on giving this thing a sense of power and proportion in such a small figure, and I think that is something that stands to be credited. Taking a look at the underbelly, I gotta say he looks pretty cute from this angle, kind of like he's got a sort of playful don't tickle me vibe going with his legs kicking and his tail up. But as you can see, there's some lovely treatments in the pectoral region, folds of skin, all adorned with more of that subtle scaling. We have got some unfortunate paint blemishes on the underbelly, but that's not a deal breaker for me. And again, you can see that lovely treatment past the hip at the folds of skin down around the thigh and the tail. This is just so gorgeous to me, and you have got a vent there as well, so it is accurate in that department. Taking a look at the top, I just want to say I love how beefy they made this guy. This, if you get a dorsal view, you can see just how big the swell of the gut is, and if you look at him from the back, take a look at those haunches and how thick they are, and how they almost blot out that massive skull. From the front, you can still see the swell of the gut past the skull itself, and I think that is just so cool that they managed to make this thing look bulky, powerful, and proportionate all at the same time. I mean, if you look at him from the underbelly, look at how fat he is. He's fat. It's glorious. He's so cute, yet so powerful, and so small at the same time. They did a great job of capturing all of that in one model, and I think that is absolutely fantastic. This thing has a lot of character to it, and I think he's fitting of the name Duke, if you ask me. Alright, now for the pose, I am actually a big fan of this pose. It instantly is recognizable to me as a sort of rhinoceros or bull pose, with the head lowered and the horn at the ready as the legs propel the creature forward. I absolutely love that he is lifting his right foot off the ground and it is curled up in that manner. It's like the safari ones in that it manages to preserve an image, a fluid shot of life without coming across as overly cartoony or exaggerated. It feels natural, yet it doesn't feel like a rigid toy at the same time. It doesn't have to be standing stock still in order to feel lifelike. Now, in terms of the paint, there is actually a lot of gorgeous stuff going on in here. As you can see, I'm particularly fond of the treatment from the underbelly as it comes up from a cream color to a sort of more orangish rust color, going into that sort of green dorsal back and then into the darker forest green with stripings at the top. That is so many areas of beautiful paint transitions, and there's not a single space where it is adverse to the eye. I mean, it's even done down on the legs as well, with the dark green, brown coloration going up into the more shaded, the more foresty green color, and then the underbelly cream coming onto the undersides of the arm. It's all so beautifully handled, and I absolutely love the stripes on the back as well, because it gives it some nice and much needed breakup. The toe claws are painted as well, so they have not left anything unattended to on this model. If I had one thing to say, it's just those really bad paint blemishes for the midsection. If we take a look at the head here, I absolutely love the ornamentation that they have given this thing on the frill with the orange stripes lined with the black stripe. It's really gorgeous stuff and a very graphic design. It really does capture your eye, and if you look at the center here, there's a lovely gradient of paint from the cream to the orange, and they even did that on the back of the frill as well. So this is a very colorful head that really does draw your eye. The horns have been addressed very lovingly with a dark brown base transitioning to a cream color and then a black tip. All of them have been given this treatment, and it looks absolutely gorgeous. There is a gloss on the face that is not present on the rest of the body. I'm not really sure why it's there. It might be exacerbated by my light and my review space right now, but it is catching my eye, and I'm really not sure what the decision behind that was. So that's definitely an area of issue for me. Another area of complaints that I have is that some of the shading isn't taken full advantage of. Like back here at the leg, as you can see, the thigh kind of just melts into the rest of the body, and it happens again on the other side with the front left arm. So that's kind of a problem for me, and we already talked about the lower jaw, how that's not really kept separate from the upper mandible in the shading department. So yeah, kind of unfortunate that they didn't do a little more shading in some of the areas just to really make sure everything was clear to the eye. Another thing I'm seeing is we have got a couple seam lines in here. They're not too noticeable, and if you step back, they kind of get lost, but they are there. I mean, it's not a huge deal. Every toy that I have has some sort of seam line or other, so yeah, it doesn't really make or break it for me. It's just something to be aware of if you should buy this figure. But beyond that, really good stuff in the paint department. Absolutely love it. As far as the size of this thing goes, from the tip of the horn to the tip of the tail, you're looking at 5.5 inches long, which is about 14 centimeters, and from the base all the way to the highest point, which is the top of the horns in this case, you're looking at just past 3 inches off the ground, which is about 8 centimeters. So, like I said, not a very big figure, but certainly packs a big punch. For size comparison, we're going to go ahead and bring in the classic Papo Triceratops, and as you can see, Duke here does not quite come up to him in size, but if you do have that Papo Triceratops, it is quite the hefty and sizable figure, and as you can see, Duke does put up a good fight. So if you have that Papo Trike, hopefully this gives you an idea of the size to expect from Duke here. Next up for size comparison, we have got the Papo Velociraptor, the classic version. Now, the reason I like to do this comparison is because this Velociraptor has been around for so long and in so many different paint schemes that odds are if you collect prehistoric models of any kind, you have come into this Velociraptor at some point or other. So hopefully she can give you an idea of the size you can expect from Duke. As you can see, he hardly crests her upper jaw. Well, everyone, that is going to do it for our look at the new for 2019 PNSO Duke the Spinops Dinosaur figure, and overall, I just love this little guy. I mean, he's not huge, but he is still impressive, and it does a great job of making me want more from PNSO. This was a great figure to whet my appetite, so now I gotta do a little bit of online shopping to pick out my favorite of the larger models to add to the collection. But if you were to ask me my overall rating for this Spinops, I think I'm gonna give it a solid 8.5 out of 10. Really, the only issues that I have with it are the areas where the shading is done a little lazily or not at all, the very subtle seam lines, and that's really about it. I mean, there's really not a lot to complain about on this thing. It definitely delivers what you would want. The price point might be a little high for the size, but again, if you're a collector, I do still recommend this thing. I'll put a link in the description to the Amazon listing so you can go straight from here to order your own. As always, I want to know what you guys think of this little Spinops. Do you own it yet? Which PNSO figure are you most looking forward to getting? Leave a comment down below with all of your thoughts. As always, I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed our review today, don't be afraid to let us know by hitting that like button, and a subscribe on the way out would be appreciated if you feel like hearing from us down the line again. Thanks again so much for tuning in, and that's going to do it for us today. Killer Shrew Fan out.